On the west coast of North America, also known as the wet coast of North America, everything rots. Everything molds, everything mildews, everything made of wood, that is. The conventional building industry has tried to solve this by adding plastic membranes. But plastic is far from ideal. Even ignoring the fact that it's made from oil, it rips, it tears, it degrades, and it blocks the flow of air, causing sick building syndrome. But of course, we can solve these problems by covering up the plastic, hopefully before it rips and degrades, and by adding fans and ventilation systems. But these need power. So to solve one problem, mold, rot, mildew, the conventional industry creates many more problems, and in the process makes any structure a very expensive and complicated proposition. So let's go back to the beginning of the problem. Rot, mold, and mildew. What if we solve that problem, or try to solve that problem, in a different way? We could change the materials. Instead of using wood, a biological material that can rot, mold, and mildew, we could use a geological material, like rock, sand, and clay. These can't rot, mold, or mildew. And that's exactly what the natural building technique called cob is made of. However, if you've had any experience with natural building, you'll know that cob, rammed earth, adobe, and related forms of natural building have other significant barriers to their use, like the amount of time and effort to actually create the building. When I first learned how to build with cob, I was overjoyed with the idea that I could finally build my own house. I couldn't wait. But then, 5 years later, when I finally found a place to build, it took me one summer to realize that no, I couldn't actually build my own house. I knew how now, but after 2 months of building a 20-foot long spiral wall for an outhouse and only getting 2 feet off of the ground, I also knew that I needed help. Lots of help. Well, I did get that help to build that first building. But what I'm eternally grateful for is that in the course of holding workshops to create that building, a 9-foot in diameter utility shed with a sleeping loft, a gift that I now call FastCob was placed into my hands and changed my life forever. Soban is a man who grew up in Korea and has a daughter the same age as mine. We bonded immediately over making food from scratch with our daughters. They make noodles and we make bread. And thankfully I don't run workshops like work camps, because when he told me he didn't like the mixing process, that it wasn't easy, I simply agreed and asked him to do what he did enjoy. A few days later, Soban tapped me on the shoulder and asked to show me something. He showed me what I now call a brick. He told me how he made it, and we pulled it apart, tested it, tried it. And it worked. We called it the four-corner Korean noodle takeout method initially. But now that I figured out how to get these bricks on the wall up to 30 times faster than the method I learned, I now call it FastCob. Over the past 10 years, I've refined the technique that built a 64 square foot tiny home in 2 years to one that built a 900 square foot split level house that you can see right here with a spiral solid cob staircase in only 5 months. The 64 square foot house had 28 different people work on it. 80% of this house was built by one person alone. The speed of the technique that I've been developing for the past 10 years has increased to the point where I believe it is fast or faster than conventional building, but without any of the problems inherent with building with wood and plastic, and, get this, without the use of machines. And there's even more benefit to using FastCob, much more. FastCob will not only outlast any conventional building, and many of today's houses start to show problems only 10 years after they've been finished, but it will outlast you, your children, and your grandchildren. and your grandchildren's grandchildren. Yes, fast cob and cob buildings will last 300 to 500 years. This isn't speculation. In the south of England and Wales, where the rain is known to fall more horizontally than vertically, dozens of cob houses are still actively in use 300 years after they were built. The only catch is that someone has to keep a roof over the building. So today that means every 50 or so years you'll need to replace your roof or get a roofer to do it for you. I believe in the fast cob technology that I've developed over the last 10 years because I've pushed it to its limits and beyond. I've not only built over a dozen structures, I live in them and test them every single day. And I'm not just impressed, I'm overwhelmed by their strength, longevity, beauty, and ease. Much of the testing that's happened wasn't intentional. Once, I topped this 60-foot, well, formerly 60-foot fir tree right beside our cob greenhouse here. Well, the walls of this greenhouse were an experiment in trying to find out how thin I could go to make them and eliminate the need for the posts to hold up the very heavy glass roof. The longest wall here is also ridiculously straight, which undermines its strength, as do the large glass sliding doors and windows. Well, guess where the top of that fir tree landed? Yep, right on that wall. And not a crack. One piece of glass window that was used as a roofing panel smashed, but otherwise no damage to the building at all. I was truly amazed. It has taken a while for my creative side to emerge, but after I got the technique to a place where it was not only easy, but fun to build, I could expand my vision beyond just another functional structure. We literally hand sculpt our buildings, so curves, niches, insets, and ornaments naturally become part of the process. Fast Cob invites as much creativity as you want to give it. And now that I've lived 10 years in our first house, I've learned another important feature of cob houses: low to no maintenance. Despite a tiny space and 10 years of construction happening all around it, it was only recently that I did any maintenance at all. Around both doorways, a bit of plaster had been worn off. It took 15 minutes to repair. Good for another 10 years or so, especially now that we're moving into the bigger house. Yes, you can have a building that will outlast dozens of your future generations, a building that requires almost zero maintenance, a building that is healthy, a building that passively heats and cools your living environment, a building that can't be compromised by insects, rodents, even fire. And it can be built without machines, without great expense, and all in a very reasonable amount of time. Sometimes I think cob is too good to be true, but then I don't even have to pinch myself. I just open my eyes and see all the beautiful cob structures around me, and I know that this just needs to be known and enjoyed by many more than just our fortunate family. And because you are on our mailing list, I'm pretty sure that you want to build with cob, and likely fast cob. So I want to hear from you. Tell me what is holding you back from your building project. What do you dream about building but haven't yet started? Even better, tell me what it would take for you to start building in 2018. Scroll down and leave me a comment or shoot me an email. My personal goal is to make 2018 to be the year of cob, and I want to know what you need to make it happen for you. I'm excited. Let me know right now, and I'll send you another email in a few days.